Script: 7 signs your soul has reincarnated before introduction, the awakening of ancestral memory, the sensation of the unexplained. Have you ever felt like you don't quite belong in this time? Have you ever, while walking down an old street in a city you've never visited, felt a tightness in your chest, a feeling of coming home, so real it took your breath away? Or perhaps, looking into the eyes of a stranger, felt a spark of recognition that defies all the biological logic of this life? These moments are not merely glitches in your mind. They are fissures in the veil of forgetfulness. We live in a society that teaches us we are the result of a fortuitous biological encounter, that our story begins at the moment of our birth and ends with the last breath of our physical body. But, deep within your consciousness, there is a voice that knows the truth. A truth that Allan Kardec, the codifier of Spiritism, explored profoundly. You are a traveler of the stars, an immortal being who has worn different skins, spoken different languages, and loved in different eras. The theory of immortality and oblivion, the idea of reincarnation, is not just a religious dogma. It is a necessity of divine justice and intellectual evolution. Imagine that life were a school. Would it be fair to expect a student to learn all of science, philosophy, ethics, and the understanding of love in just a single day of class? Clearly not. Therefore, reincarnation is the soul's multiple school days system. But why do we forget? Why don't we clearly remember who we were? Imagine the weight of carrying all the sorrows, all the names, all the faces of millennia of existence. Forgetting is a blessing from Providence. It allows us to start over without the burden of the past, like a blank page on which we can write a new story. However, forgetting is never absolute. The soul retains the senses, retains the lessons learned, the moral scars, and the virtues acquired. And it is these traits that we call signs. The purpose of self-knowledge. Today, in this special 1-hour video, we're going to take a deep journey. We're not just going to list superficial signs. We're going to delve into the psychology of the soul and the fundamentals of spiritualism to understand why you feel the way you feel. Why do you have fears that no one can explain? Why do you have talents that no one taught you? Understanding that you have lived before changes how you face your current problems, your financial difficulties, your family conflicts, and even your physical pains take on a new meaning when viewed through the lens of cause and effect. You are not being punished. You are being educated. Each challenge is an echo of a previous choice, and each virtue you demonstrate today is the fruit of a battle, won in a century that history has already forgotten. Preparing for the journey, in the next few minutes, we will explore 7 fundamental signs. Get ready, because we will talk about Déjà Vu from a perspective that traditional science rarely touches. We will talk about why certain children are born with the wisdom of elders. And, most importantly, we will address sign number 5, which is the feeling of the old soul, that existential weariness that many of you feel and cannot explain. Before we begin, I ask that you connect with your inner self. Forget about your phone notifications, the noise of the outside world. This is a moment between you and your eternity. If you feel this video reached you for a reason, perhaps this is the first sign of synchronicity in your journey today. About Spiritist Light Journey, and this is our sanctuary of spiritual wisdom. Let us now unravel the mysteries of your past to illuminate your future. Let us go to the first sign. In addition to neurological failure, the first sign we need to analyze is perhaps the most common, and at the same time, in Spiritism, Déjà Vu is understood as They have documented thousands of cases of children who described, with technical and geographical detail, places they had never been. The brain functions like a radio station. It picks up the frequency of the soul. Kardec's Vision and the Spirits book. Allan Kardec asks the spirits in question 392 of the Book of Spirits, why does the incarnate spirit lose the memory of its past? The answer is clear and profound. Man cannot, nor should he, know everything. God wills it so in his wisdom. But the spirits add that, although forgetfulness is necessary for the present trial, tendencies and intuitions they remain. Déjà Vu is, therefore, a geographical intuition. When you feel you've been there before, your soul is sending you a warning signal. It could be a reminder that you made a mistake in that environment that you shouldn't repeat, or that you left a job unfinished there. It's an invitation to reflection. Why does this place have this effect on me now? Don't ignore the feeling of familiarity. It is the compass of your reincarnation. How to differentiate between common déjà vu and past life memory. For those of you watching, how can you tell if your déjà vu is spiritual? Pay attention to the emotional charge. Biological déjà vu is quick, like a fright that passes in seconds. Déjà vu of the soul is accompanied by a ... deep emotion, a sudden sadness, an inexplicable joy, or a peace that seems to come from another world. If you've ever felt this way, you're not going crazy. You're just starting to remember. And if the place where you live today gives you that feeling, perhaps you've returned to the exact spot where your evolution needs to take the next step. But memories aren't just tied to places. They're tied to our bodies. And that is what we'll talk about in the next sign. How your fears and talents of today are the scars and trophies of your past lives. Chapter 2. Phobias and Talents. The Legacy of Yesterday. The Invisible Scars. Unexplained Phobias. The second sign that your soul has already been here is the presence of fears and phobias that have no roots in this life. Traditional psychology often attempts to find the cause in childhood trauma or some repressed event. However, what happens when a person has a paralyzing fear of fire but has never suffered a burn or witnessed a fire? Or when someone feels terrible suffocation when wearing a turtleneck without ever having experienced a choking episode? In Spiritism and Past Life Therapy (PLT), we understand that ... perispirit, spiritual body, which connects the soul to the physical body, functions like a magnetic archive. It absorbs the emotional impact of how we left our last existence. If a soul disembodied in a traumatic way, such as in a shipwreck, a fire, or a battle, this pain fingerprint can be transferred to the new central nervous system in the next incarnation. A phobia, therefore, is not a disease of the physical mind, but a defense mechanism of the spirit. It is your soul screaming, beware. This element is what destroyed us last time. Understanding this is the first step towards healing. When we stop fighting fear and begin to see it as a memory, the trauma begins to lose its power over our present. Innate talents, the trophies of evolution. On the other hand, reincarnation doesn't just leave us with burdens, it leaves us ... treasures. Have you ever met someone who seems to have been born knowing how to do something complex? I'm referring to those children who, at the age of 5, play the piano with the fluency of a master. Or young people who demonstrate an absurd ease with languages, mathematics, or strategy, even without having had family encouragement. Science calls them prodigies. Spiritism calls them spirits in progression. Nothing is lost in the universe. If you dedicated 10 lifetimes to medicine, music, or oratory, that knowledge doesn't disappear when your body dies. It's integrated into your intellectual heritage. In your new life, you're not learning from scratch. You're simply remembering to improve upon what has already been achieved. This explains the stark differences between siblings raised under the same roof. One might be a natural artist, while the other is purely logical. Each brings with them the legacy of their past experiences. If you have a gift or an extreme aptitude for something, know that it wasn't a free gift of luck. It was a hard-won achievement, the result of many hours of effort over centuries gone by. The law of progress and the justice of God. Allan Kardec dedicates an entire section to the Book of Spirits. The law of cause and effect is used to explain inequalities in aptitude. Many ask, why did God give so much talent to some and so little to others? The answer lies in the multiplicity of existences. No one was created with privileges. Those who shine on a stage or behind an operating table with mastery today were possibly hard-working beginners in previous lives. God is just and gives everyone the same tools, time, and eternity. If you feel you haven't yet found your great talent in this life, don't despair. Perhaps you are in the sowing phase. What you plant today with effort will be your innate talent in the next journey. The sign that your soul has already reincarnated is realizing that you are not a blank page. You are a book written in thousands of pages. Your fears are the paragraphs that need to be revised, and your talents are the passages you have already learned to recite by heart. What's your luggage? Now, do a mental exercise. What is that activity that, when you do it, makes you feel like time stands still? Where does your natural ease lie? And, on the other hand, what is the irrational fear that limits you the most? These two ends of your personality are the bridges to your past. In the next chapter, we'll elevate our conversation to something more subtle, the feeling of being an old soul. Why do you feel so tired of this modern world? And why do you prefer silence to euphoria? Chapter 3. The Old Soul Syndrome and Collective Loneliness. What does it mean to be an old soul? The third sign that your soul has reincarnated many times is a persistent feeling of ... maladjustment. Have you ever felt, since childhood, that you didn't fit in with the interests of your age group, while other children or young people were immersed in fads, social competitions, or the relentless pursuit of external acceptance? You might have found yourself observing the stars, questioning the origin of life, or preferring the company of much older people. In spiritual circles, we call this being a old soul having. An old soul has nothing to do with the age of your physical body, but rather with the mileage of your spirit. It's the result of having gone through so many experiences, so many cultures, so many successes, and so many failures, that the illusions of this world no longer shine for you. You once had power, you once had wealth, you once knew fame in other times, and your soul remembers that none of that brought lasting peace. Therefore, in this life, you may feel a certain existential weariness. It's not depression in the clinical sense, but rather a disinterest in trivialities. You seek what truly matters, essential, that which is eternal. You seek the spirit, not matter. The loneliness of someone who has seen too much. One of the greatest challenges for the old soul is loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone, but that collective loneliness, the kind we feel even in a room full of people. This happens because the old soul communicates at a deep frequency. For you, conversations about the weather, gossip, or material possessions seem like empty noise. You yearn for soul connections, for dialogues that touch the purpose of being. Allan Kardec, in his observations on the spiritual scale, notes that as the spirit evolves, it becomes more sensitive and less attached to the social conventions of earth. This may cause you to be seen as strange, antisocial, or arrogant, but the truth is that you are simply operating at a different level of maturity. This maturity brings with it intuition. You can read people beyond their words. You perceive the falseness or the hidden pain in a smile because you've seen those patterns 1,000 times before. Your soul is a library of human behavior, and that gives you a wisdom that many call instinct, but which, in truth, is accumulated experience. The awakening of cosmic consciousness, being an old soul, also means being closer to what we call ... cosmic consciousness. You feel an intrinsic connection with nature, with animals, and with the universe. You understand, without needing anyone to explain it to you, that everything is connected. The suffering of someone on the other side of the world affects you. The destruction of a forest hurts you as if it were on your own skin. This happens because, after many incarnations, the ego begins to dissolve. You stop seeing yourself as an isolated individual and begin to see yourself as part of the whole. The sign that your soul is old is your ability to deep empathy. You have been poor and you have been rich. You have been a man and you have been a woman. You have been oppressed and you have been an oppressor, because you have been everything. Today you are able to understand everyone. This sense of unease you feel with the modern world is, in fact, a calling. The world needs old souls to anchor peace in times of chaos. Your calmness, your long-term vision, and your detachment from human drama are healing tools for those who are experiencing their first or second journey here and are desperate amidst life's storms. Reflection. Do you feel at home? Look at your journey so far. Have you always felt that there was something wrong with the priorities of the society around you? Do you feel an inexplicable longing for a place you don't know where it is? This nostalgia for the infinite is the mark of a soul that has traveled far. You're not here to be just another face in the crowd. You're here to be a beacon. Embrace your maturity. Don't try to diminish yourself to fit into spaces you surpassed centuries ago. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how this past manifests in your current relationships. Why do certain people enter our lives and seem to never have left? We'll discuss cultural affinities and group recognition. Chapter 4. Cultural affinities and group recognition. Historical resonance. Why do certain eras call to us? The fourth sign that your soul is a veteran of Earth is ... spiritual xenophilia. A deep and inexplicable passion for a specific culture, country, or historical period. Have you ever met someone who, without any French ancestry, feels a visceral connection to Paris, or someone who, since childhood, has been moved by images of ancient Egypt, the Roman Empire, or Victorian England? Many call this aesthetic preference, but Spiritism suggests something much deeper. Your soul retains the memory of the environments where it was happiest, or where it faced its greatest trials. When you watch a period film and feel that you know that way of speaking, the weight of those clothes, or the smell of those streets, your perispirit is vibrating in resonance with the past. This affinity is not just with the place, but with technologram, that era. That's why some people learn a particular language with an ease bordering on the supernatural. It's not a new skill. It's an activation of a linguistic code that was already latent in their immortal being. Spiritual families and recognition. Through the gaze, but the most striking sign of this chapter is the group recognition. Allan Kardec explains that we do not evolve alone. We reincarnate in groups, in true spiritual families. These are groups of souls who have debts to repay or missions to fulfill together. Do you know that chance encounter with someone who, in 5 minutes of conversation, feels like you've known them for decades? That friend who shows up at the right time and understands your thoughts without you saying a word. In Spiritism, we understand that the eyes are the window to the soul, and the only part of the physical body that maintains the same frequency across incarnations. When your eyes meet and the connection is instant, your souls are greeting each other behind the veil of forgetfulness. You may have switched roles. The one who is your friend today may have been your father. The one who is your son today may have been your teacher. True love is a golden thread that time cannot cut. Unexplainable antagonisms. The other side of the coin, unfortunately, this recognition also works in a negative way. Have you ever felt an immediate repulsion towards someone who has never done anything to you? A distrust that arises from the first second of contact? These are the karmic challenges. Often, we are brought face to face with former adversaries so that we can practice forgiveness. The law of reincarnation is pedagogical. It places us in the same family or the same work environment with those we have hurt or who have hurt us. If you feel an energetic barrier with someone for no apparent reason, instead of distancing yourself, ask yourself, what does my soul need to learn from this presence? Group recognition serves not only for the comfort of affections, but also for settling outstanding issues. Healing a difficult relationship today could be the end of a war that has lasted for centuries. Where is your heart? Look at the people who make up your innermost circle. Notice the connections that defy logic. And look at your tastes, the books you read, the places you dream of visiting. None of this is random. You are the sum of all the places you've been and all the people you've loved. You are not a stranger to the world. You are a citizen of time. In the next chapter, we will delve into the science of childhood memories and recurring dreams. We will understand why children are the ones who provide the clearest evidence that life continues. We will talk about the research of Dr. Ian Stevenson and the flashes of memory that appear while we sleep. Chapter 5. The phenomenon of childhood memories and dreams, the voices of children, undeniable evidence. The fifth sign that reincarnation is a factual reality manifests itself most clearly in the early years of our current life. Have you ever heard a young child say something like, "When I grew up, I worked with airplanes," or "My other mother had different hair"? Often, parents dismiss these statements as childish fantasy, but modern science has begun to look at them differently. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, spent more than 40 years investigating what he called suggestive cases of reincarnation. He documented more than 3,000 cases, mostly involving children between the ages of 2 and 7. Why, at that age? Because it's the period when the new physical brain is still adjusting and the veil of forgetfulness has uncompletely closed yet. Stevenson discovered cases where children knew the names of deceased relatives in distant cities, accurately described how they died, and even presented birthmarks that corresponded exactly to fatal injuries suffered by their previous personality. These memories are not psychic constructs. They are remnants of a consciousness that refuses to be erased by physical rebirth. If you had these fantasies as a child, know that they may have been your first direct contact with your true history. Sleep as emancipation of the soul. But what about us adults, who have already lost that childlike purity? How do we access those memories? The answer lies in a state we experience every night. In Spiritism, we learn that sleep is the emancipation of the soul. While the body rests to recover energy, the bonds that hold the spirit loose, and we gain a partial freedom. Many of your recurring dreams are not subconscious symbols, but rather visits to the past. Have you ever repeatedly dreamt that you were in a specific war, wearing clothes from another era, feeling the weight of a sword or the fear of being chased? Or perhaps dreams where you live a simple domestic life in a village that no longer exists. The difference between a regular dream and a past life memory is sensory clarity. Real memories of past lives during sleep are often hyper-realistic. You feel the wind, the smell of the environment, and, above all, an emotional charge that persists for hours after waking up. It's your soul taking advantage of the physical body's pause to revisit scenarios where it left parts of itself. Why is memory fragmented? Allan Kardec explains that if we had a complete memory of who we were, we would be paralyzed. Imagine knowing that the person who is now your greatest adversary was, in another life, someone you deeply betrayed. Guilt would prevent us from acting naturally. That is why memories come in flashes or fragments. These fragments serve as intuitive prompts. If you repeatedly dream about a dangerous situation, your soul may be processing a trauma so that it can finally be released. The purpose of these signs is not to keep us stuck in the past, but to give us clues about which moral inclinations we need to correct now. If you have dreams that feel like memories, start writing them down. Observe the patterns. Your soul is trying to tell you the story of how you got here. Understanding these dreams is like reading the preface to the book you're writing today. What is your subconscious saying? Think about the images that populate your nights. Is there a recurring historical scenario? Is there someone who appears in your dreams with a face you don't recognize in this life, but who emanates a feeling of profound love or fear? These are the loose threads of your spiritual tapestry. Don't be afraid of them. They are proof that you are much faster than your mirror shows. In the next and final chapter, we will tie all these signs together and talk about the ultimate goal of all these karmic challenges and healing through understanding. We will understand how to use the past to transform your future. Chapter 6: Karmic Challenges and Healing Through Understanding the Law of Cause and Effect. Justice, not punishment. We've reached the crucial point in our journey. Up to this point, we've explored signs that prove you've lived before, déjà vu, talents, old souls, and childhood memories. But the question that remains is why? Why does the soul need to go through this endless cycle of birth and death? The answer lies in law of cause and effect, or what many call karma. In Spiritism, we prefer the term divine justice. Unlike the popular view, karma is not a punishment imposed by an external judge. It is a natural law of balance, as real as the law of gravity. If you throw a stone upwards, it will return to the earth. If you launch an act or a thought into the universe, it will create a wave that will eventually return to its origin. The challenges you face today, that seemingly endless financial difficulty, a chronic illness since birth, or a family conflict that drains your energy, are often the return of those waves. They are the knots you tied in other existences, and which now, with the maturity you have gained, you have the opportunity to untie. Suffering is not an end, but a means of readjusting the soul to universal harmony. Rescue through love and work. Allan Kardec teaches us that there are two ways to settle our debts with the past. Rooted in enter by trelopement is the suffering imposed by resistance. It is when the spirit refuses to change and life forces it to go through the same pain it caused. Trial, on the other hand, is the spirit's conscious choice to undergo a challenge to prove its steadfastness and evolution. But here's the secret that can change your life today. Love covers a multitude of sins. You don't need to suffer eternally to pay for a mistake from 1,000 years ago. If you caused pain in a past life, you can balance that scale by doing twice as much good in this life. Good deeds are the amortizer of karma. If you feel you are carrying a heavy burden, instead of asking why me, start asking what purpose does this serve? By understanding that your current challenge has a just origin and an educational purpose, the pain ceases to be resentment and becomes healing. Understanding is the first step towards liberation. When you comprehend the lesson behind the trial ceases to be necessary, and the cycle of repetition ends. Healing through forgiveness and the end of repetition. How many times have you found yourself repeating the same mistake, choosing the same type of abusive partner, falling into the same professional trap, or feeling the same paralyzing guilt? These repetitions are signs that your soul is stuck in a chapter of the past. The ultimate cure comes through forgiveness. Especially self-forgiveness. Many of our current pains are self-punishments of a spirit that cannot forgive itself for something it did 5 or 6 incarnations ago. We are our own most merciless judges. But the purpose of reincarnation is progress, not torture. Identifying the signs that you have already reincarnated helps you realize that you are a survivor. You have already faced worse falls and risen again. You have already overcome centuries of darkness to reach this moment of awareness. Use this knowledge to forgive those who cross your path with thorns, for they too are wounded souls trying to find the light. By forgiving others and yourself, you break the chains that bind you to the past and finally become free to create a new future. End of content. The power of now. The past is a teacher, but it shouldn't be a master builder. It should only be a reference book. The signs we discussed in this video are compasses, not anchors. If you identified yourself as an old soul, carrying talents from the past and facing karmic challenges, congratulations, you have just received the key to your own cell. From now on, the responsibility is yours, with your eyes fixed on eternity, but your feet firmly planted in the present. You have the power to transform any remaining shadow into light. In our final segment, we will conclude this journey with a message of hope and a summary of everything we have learned today. Conclusion. Awakening to the now, the synthesis of the journey, we have reached the end of this immersion into the depths of the soul. Throughout this hour, we have journeyed through fragmented memories, deciphered the enigma of Déjà Vu, understood the origin of our talents and the sacred reason for our sorrows. But, more than facts and theories, what we sought here was a reunion with our own eternal identity. If you identified with the signs we discussed, if your heart fluttered when you heard about old souls, or if tears welled up when you understood that your challenges are in fact opportunities for healing, know that this was no accident. The knowledge of reincarnation is a watershed moment. Once the eyes of the soul open to the immensity of time, the world never seems the same again. Petty gossip, material possessions, and everyday squabbles lose their weight, giving way to a search for what truly matters, your moral evolution, and the love you leave behind wherever you go. The message of hope: you are not alone. Perhaps you started this video feeling like an outsider, someone tired of fighting against tides that no one else seems to see. But the final message that Spiritism and cosmic wisdom leave for you is, you were never alone. Behind you lies a lineage of versions of yourself who fought, survived, and learned, so that you could be here today. With this level of consciousness, you are the most ambitious project in the universe. Every past mistake was a stepping stone. Every success was a beacon of light. Don't lament the lost time or the scars you carry. These scars are the map to your triumph over matter. You are an old soul, yes, but with the vigor of someone who has a new blank page before them. The purpose of knowing that you have lived before is not to bind you to the past, but to give you the courage necessary to be who you were born to be. Today, double quotes now, I'd like to extend an invitation to you. Knowledge only transforms into wisdom when it is shared and practiced. If this content touched your soul, leave your comment below. Write, I accept my journey be doing this. You anchor this awakening energy into your current life. Share this video with that person you feel, deep in your heart, is part of your spiritual family. Sometimes, a video like this is the awakening someone prayed for during the night. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Our mission here is to continue being that light, bringing light to the mysteries of the spirit and comfort to the battles of everyday life. The journey continues. You are an eternal traveler, a hero of 1,000 faces. And the next chapter of your story begins now, at the exact moment that this video ends. Much peace, much light in your past. And until our next meeting,